Got a little fairy garden here that we made last year with my daughter. Got some marigolds right here, fern. I don't know what these are. I can never remember. But this plant right here is supposed to really bring in butterflies and hummingbirds, so we'll see. I have not done anything with the fairy garden yet, but I will. I will take care of this. What I want to talk about today is a project that you can do with your kids, your grandkids, your neighbors' kids, whoever, even you. If you just want to add a little flair to your backyard, add something a little different to your backyard living, create a fairy garden. They're easy, they're not expensive at all, and it's completely up to your imagination. In the beginning of the video, you saw how this garden looked at the end of last year, before the freezes came and killed everything. And it still looks the same. It's all sad, and it bums me out. Every time I come back here, considering what it used to be to what it is now, it just bothers me. Wasn't it just so pretty at the end of last year? Now, be honest. Tell me that didn't look like Fern Gully, or a scene out of Fern Gully at the end of last year. Every time I'd come out here and water this fairy garden, I had images of that movie in my head, and now it looks like this. Also, is it just me, or when you see a hummingbird, are you always looking for a little fairy on the back riding the hummingbird like a horse? I hope it's not just me. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are going to take this sad looking fairy garden and we're gonna make it majestic again and beautiful. Now, before we get to that, let's talk about what I had to do to create this fairy garden. About 2 years ago, my youngest daughter and I decided to create this fairy garden. So what I did is I took an old wheelbarrow. It's an iron wheelbarrow. The wood was all falling apart and rotting. The tire is just gone. So it wasn't gonna do anymore. I wasn't gonna be able to use it as an actual wheelbarrow. So I wanted to repurpose it. And I thought, hey, if I'm gonna create a fairy garden, why not use this thing, right? So as you can see here, what we did is we took this apart completely down to its different pieces, painted it, put it all back together, and then created this garden out of it. Now I did drill holes here at the bottom to let water out, because that's important. Remember, this is a garden. You're going to have living plants in here, so you've got to make sure you still have drainage. Filled it up with really good soil, and then just let our imaginations go. As you saw at the beginning of the video, we went to a local craft store, one of the big box craft stores, and got a whole bunch of stuff for the fairy garden. And so that was last year. And then again this year, did the same thing, went and got more stuff for the fairy garden. Okay, one thing that is very important is your soil. You want to make sure that your soil is really good soil. Now, as you can see here, everything that survived the cold weather is still thriving. Like, I've got new life coming up right here, all through here. This fern is still alive, but all the flowers died. So what I did is I went and bought new flowers and more stuff to put in here. I'm going to totally transform the way the fairy garden looked from last December to today. Okay, so what I want to do this year is I want to create kind of like a pond effect in the garden. So I'm going to use these filler rocks as the water, and I'm also going to create kind of a little beach scene kind of in front of the fairy house there, and go from there. So again, with the fairy garden, let your imagination run wild. There's no rules to it, just have fun with it. Okay, so here it is. Here we are, right? Here's the fairy house. Now inside here are a ton of mothballs, because I did not want this to turn into a wasp nest or a beehive. I probably have 30 mothballs in here just to keep everything out of this thing, out of this fairy house. Went and got these two big plants we're gonna have in the back. These up here in the front. I'm gonna leave the fern because, hey, Fern Gully, right? But seriously, it survived the winter, so I'm just gonna let it be. No sense taking it out. Right here in the front, I'm gonna create a little beach scene looking area. And then right through here is going to be the water, where I'm gonna have like a pond effect going. So that's the plan, that's what's in my head. Now you just gotta do it. So let's do it. What I'm doing here is I'm adding soil that I make, a soil mix that I make, and I will leave a link to that video in the description below. This is just to add new nutrients to the fairy garden. Okay, how many viewers remember what this is and why I have this ramekin with rocks in it out here in the garden? I've got 3 of them staged around the garden, but how many remember what this is for? Leave a comment down in the description below and let me know that you know. You know? Okay, now that the flowers are planted, let's focus on actually creating the fairy world, so to speak. I don't want to just lay the rock on here. What I want to do is have some sort of a median that can kind of hold the rock. Normally I would use landscape fabric, but I don't have any landscape fabric right now. So I went and I got burlap. Now I'm pretty sure this will work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the burlap into strips and kind of create my little area where I want to have the rock. The burlap will help keep the rocks from going down into the soil during watering. So that's why you want to have some sort of a median underneath your rocks, if you're going to use rocks or sand or anything like that. Okay, so there is my new fairy garden. We got little mushrooms everywhere, little pond, little gravel beach area, all the little characters right there, the new plants. Yep, I think we're ready to go. Okay, so that's how you do a fairy garden, or at least that's how I do a fairy garden. Now, again, there's a million ways you can do these kind of things. You could use an old tire, fill it up with soil, do a fairy garden on top of that. Use an old raised bed, do a fairy garden in that. You can do a fairy garden in a raised bed where you have stuff growing, like vegetables, like where you have vegetables growing. Your imagination is truly the limit to a fairy garden. This channel's not just for growing vegetables or fruits. This is backyard living. So my videos are going to be geared toward living in the backyard or being in the backyard. Now, the majority of my videos are going to be on vegetables or fruits, but like with this video, there's other things to do in the backyard or in your garden that can be fun for everybody, from a little kiddo all the way up to an adult. All right, everyone, if you all enjoyed this video, please share the video, hit the like button, and if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and hit the subscription button right there. Also, check me out on Facebook and Instagram, Down Home Backyard Gardening. Just type that into the search bar and you'll find me. And as always, everyone, shine bright and harvest hard. Bye. It is so hot out here. And it's only April. So I'm going to use, what are those things called? Everybody, so as you just saw in that video, okay everyone, so as you just saw in that intro to this video, so as you saw in the intro to this video, what I want to do today is talk about a project that you can do What I want to talk about today Down Home Backyard Gardening. Just type that into the search. Just type that into the search bar and you'll find the page. As always, everyone, shine bright and harvest hard. Bye. I didn't really like that ending. Drips and kind of create my little area where I want to have the rock. The burlap will help keep the rocks from going down into the soil during watering. So that's why you want to have some sort of a median underneath your rocks, if you're going to use rocks or sand or anything like that. I guess it's garbage time.